Hello students, I am back with another video of The Merchant of Venice. This is the explanation of Act 1, Scene 2. Setting of the scene, scene from now we are being shifted from Venice to Belmont, and here we will be introduced to Portia, who is talking to her maid Nerissa. But there is a similarity between scene 1 and scene 2. Scene 1 was also set in a melancholic mood. Antonio, he was in a melancholic mood. In scene 2, Portia, she is in a melancholic mood. But the difference is that Antonio, he did not know about that why he is sad. But Portia, she knew very well that why she is sad. She has a good reason because she is sad because of her father's strange will. And the two ladies, they will also discuss the various suitors who have already arrived in Belmont. So let us start with the explanation of the scene. Scene 2, Belmont, a room in Portia's house. Enter Portia and Nerissa. Portia, by my troth, Nerissa, my little body is aweary of this great world. So Portia is saying, truly, Nerissa, I just want to tell you that I am tired of this world. Nerissa, you would be sweet, madam. So Nerissa says that yes, madam, you should be tired if your miseries were in the same abundance as your good fortunes are, because you have the same number of miseries and good fortunes. They are in the same number. And yet, for aught I see, they are sick that surfeit with too much, as they that starve with nothing. And she says that I have seen that the people who get very less to eat, they also fall sick, and the people who get lots and lots to eat, they also fall sick. So she is saying it is no mean happiness, therefore, to be seated in the mean. So it is a very good position if you are placed in the middle, if you are placed between poverty and riches, because if you are very poor, extremely poor, you will be sad, and if you are extremely rich, then also you will be sad. So Nerissa here, she has used the word mean in two different meanings, in the meaning of poor also and the moderate also. Here we can say that the word mean has been used as a pun, because it is giving us two different meanings. Mean is used for the poor people, and also for the moderate. Then she says superfluity comes sooner by white hairs, but competency lives longer. Then she is saying, Nerissa is saying that it is no small happiness to be situated in a position midway between poverty and riches. So she says that it's better that those who have too much of anything will age sooner. If you have too much of anything, then because of tensions and worries, you will be aged sooner. You will look older sooner. But competency lives longer. This means that those who have just enough, they will live for a long time. So Portia says good sentences, well pronounced, very good sentences, very well said. And Nerissa, they would be better if well followed. Nerissa says, yes madam, it will be better if we follow them. Portia, if to do were as easy as to know what were good to do, chapels had been churches and poor men cottages, princes' palaces. So Portia says that if it would have been easy, it is very easy to know that what you have to do, but it is not so easy to actually do that. And if it would have been so much easy, then chapels would have been churches. Chapels, they are small churches which are made inside the houses only. So she is saying that these are churches which accommodate small number of worshippers. They are generally made inside big houses. So if it would have been that whatever people say, the people follow the same thing, then all the chapels would have become churches, and the poor men cottages would have become the palaces of prince. It is a good divine that follows his own instructions. He is a good preacher who follows his own instructions. I can easier teach 20 what were good to be done. It is very easy for me to teach 20 people what is good to be done, than be one of the 20 to follow mine own teaching, than just to be one of the 20 people who will follow their own teaching. The brain may devise laws for the blood, and she is saying that your brain, it will make so many laws for your body. Blood means body. But a hot temper leaps over a cold degree, but the heat of the desire, it will always disobey these laws. Such a hare is madness, the youth, to skip over the measures of good counsel, the cripple. Just for example, you are in class 9, class 10, you make up your mind that from tomorrow I'm going to I'll wake up at 5 o'clock and I'll start my studies. But what happens, this is your desire, this your brain has devised this law for your body that from tomorrow I'm going to get up early and I will start my discussions, I will start my studies. But what happens in the morning when the alarm rings, you just think, okay, let it be, I will start from tomorrow. So this is your hot desire, the desire which will always dominate your laws which you have made for your body. Such a hare is madness, the youth. And the youth, young people, they are just like mad, like hare, to skip over the measures of good counsel, the cripple. Just like the youthful people, they have high spirits. They are just like a hare, and they easily skip. As a hare, it skips over the bushes. In the same way, these young people, they will always skip over good counsel. Counsel means advice. But this reasoning is not in the fashion to choose me a husband. But this reasoning I cannot even use to choose a husband for me. Oh me, the word choose. I may neither choose whom I would. Oh me, for the word choose. I cannot even choose the person whom I want, nor I refuse whom I dislike, nor can I refuse a person whom I dislike. So is the will of a living daughter curbed by the will of a dead father. Will of a living daughter means desires of a living daughter is being curbed by the will of a dead father. Will here means the agreement. Here again, children, the word will has been used as a pun because it is having two meanings. One is desire and the other is the agreement. Is it not hard, Nerissa, that I cannot choose one nor refuse none? Nerissa, it is so hard for me that I cannot choose a husband nor can I refuse anyone. Nerissa says, your father was ever virtuous. Your father was a very wise person. And holy men at their death have good inspirations. And holy men, when they die, they always leave good guidance behind. Therefore, the lottery that he had devised, therefore the will that your father has decided in the form of 3 chests, 3 cascades of gold, silver and lead, whereof who chooses his meaning, and according to the will, the person who chooses the right cascade will choose you, will no doubt never be chosen by any rightly but one who shall rightly love. And I am very sure that the right person will choose the cascade, not only the right person but the person who will rightly love you. But what warmth is there in your affection towards any of these princely suitors that are already come? But what are your feelings about these suitors who are already here in Belmont? Portia, I pray thee, overname them. I request you start naming them. And as thou namest them, and as you name them, I will describe them. And according to my description, level at my affection. And according to my description, you can just measure my feelings for them. So Nerissa starts first. There is the Neapolitan prince. So here we have the Neapolitan prince. So here we have the picture of the Neapolitan prince. See, the Neapolitan prince is here. He is the Neapolitan prince. And Portia says that, that is the colt indeed. He is the Neapolitan prince. So here on the horse, the picture which is on the horse, you can see that is the picture of a Neapolitan prince. So he is saying, I pray thee, overnamed him. So Nerissa starts saying that he is a Neapolitan prince. Portia says, ah, that's a cold indeed, for he doth nothing but talk of his horse. So he is just like a young horse, because the whole time he keeps on talking about his horse, and he makes it a great appropriation, and he feels very proud to say to his own good parts that he can shoe himself, that he can shoe his own horse. He feels very proud to say this. Then Nerissa says, then is there the County Palatine. So Portia says, he doth nothing but frown. The other one, the lower picture, is of the County Palatine. He only knows how to frown. Frown means to be angry. As who should say, and you will not have me choose, as if he is saying that I do not even bother whether you choose me or not. And he hears merry tales and smiles not. Even if he hears the merry tales, he will never smile. I fear he will prove the weeping philosopher when he grows old. I think that when he will become a mature person, he will become a weeping philosopher. Weeping philosopher, he was Heraclitus of Ephesus. Ephesus is a place. So Heraclitus, he was a weeping philosopher who used to live alone in the mountains because he was distressed by the mankind. He used to think that the human beings, they are stupid people, so he just wanted to be away from them. So he was just fond of living alone. So Portia is saying that County Palatine, he will become a weeping philosopher when he becomes a mature person, being so full of unmannerly sadness in his youth, because he is full of unpleasant sadness in his young age. I had rather be married to a death's head. It would be better for me to marry a death's head, means a skull with a bone in its mouth, than to choose either of these. God defend me from these two. Oh God, please protect me from these two. Nerissa, how say you by the French Lord Monsieur Le Bon? So Portia says, God made him, and therefore let him pass for a man. That is, since God has made him, so I will call him a human being. In truth, I know it is a sin to be a mocker, and in truth, I know that it is very bad to mock at somebody, to make fun of somebody. But why he hath a horse better than the Neapolitans? He talks about the horses better than the Neapolitans. A better bad habit of frowning than the Count Palatine, and he has a better habit of getting angry than the County Palatine. He is every man and no man. He is a man, but he does not have his own personality. If a throstle is a bird, thrush, and he falls, if a throstle starts singing, he will just fall straight a capering, means immediately he will start jumping up and down to the music of the throstle. He will fence with his own shadow, he will fight with his own shadow. If I marry him, I should marry 20 husbands. This means that I will have to marry 20 people, because he does not have his own personality. And if he would despise me, if he just rejects me, I would forgive him. I will forgive him. I will not feel bad. For if he love me to madness, because if he will love me, I shall never requite him. Requite means reciprocate. I will never be able to return his love. Nerissa, what say you then to Falcon Bridge, the young Baron of England? This is a picture of the Falcon Bridge. You know I say nothing to him. You know that I do not say anything to him, for he understands not me, because he does not understand my language, nor I him. I also do not understand his language. He hath neither Latin, French, nor Italian. He is not able to understand Latin, French, or Italian. And you will come into the court and swear that I have a poor penny word in the English. And Portia, she was very poor in English vocabulary. So she says that you know very well that I have a very poor vocabulary in English. He is a proper man's picture. He is a proper man, very handsome man. But alas, who can converse with a dumb show? But he is not able to understand any language. So who can converse with a dumb person? How oddly he is suited. And have you seen how strangely does he get dressed up? I think he bought his doublet in Italy. And his round hose in France, and bonnet in Germany, and his behavior everywhere. Doublet means jacket. So she is saying that I think that he has brought his jacket from Italy, and he has brought his breeches from France, his bonnet means hat, from Germany, and his manners he has brought from everywhere. Nerissa says, what think you of the Scottish lord, his neighbor? Then she says, Portia, that he hath a neighborly charity in him, that he has a charity, he has love for his neighbor. for he borrowed a box of the ear of the Englishman back, because he was given a blow on his ear from the Englishman, and swore he would pay him again when he was able. And the Englishman had just slapped him on his near his ear, so now the person, he has also promised that he is going to return that slap to the Englishman whenever he is able to do this. I think the Frenchman became his surety and sealed under for another. And I think that the Frenchman, the French Monsieur Lebon, which about whom we had discussed in the previous page, so she is saying that that person, he has become his guarantor, that yes, I am very sure that you are going to return that slap to him. Nerissa, how like you, the young German, the Duke of Saxony's nephew? What about the young German, the Duke of Saxony's nephew? So Portia says the picture here which we have, that is the Duke of Saxony's nephew, very wily in the morning. He is very bad in the morning when he is sober, and most wily in the afternoon. He is worse in the afternoon. Sober means in the morning when he is fresh, he is very bad, and in the afternoon he becomes worse when he is in a drunk state. And when he is best, he is a little worse than a man, and when he is at his best behavior, he is a little worse than a man. And when he is worst, it is a little better than a beast, and when he is in his worst behavior, he is a little better than an animal. And the worst fall that ever fall, I hope I shall make shift to go without him. And he says that I hope that I will have to just move on without him. Nerissa says, if he should offer to choose and choose the right cascade, you should refuse to perform your father's will. If you should refuse to accept him, that if he offers to choose the cascade and supposingly he chooses the right cascade, then if you refuse to marry him, you will refuse your father's will. Portia, therefore for fear of the worst, therefore to save me from this worst thing to happen, I pray thee, I request you, Nerissa, set a deep glass of Rhenish wine. Rhenish wine is the white wine which is made up of from the grapes in the Rhine Valley. So she says that you set a glass of Rhenish wine on the contrary cascade, means on the wrong cascade. Portia, she knew very well that which is the right cascade, but since she was under her father's will, so she was not able to tell anything about her. She was not able to reveal the right cascade, but still she says that just put a glass of wine on the wrong cascade, and if the devil be within and that temptation without him, and then if the devil which is there inside him will tempt him, I know he will choose that cascade which will have a glass of wine. I will do anything, I can do anything for it, Nerissa, or I will be married to a sponge, because if he marries me, I will be married to a drunkard. Nerissa, you need not fear, lady, the having of any of these laws. Lady, you do not fear about any of these laws. They have acquainted me, they have informed me of with their determinations, about their decisions, which is indeed, and the decision is that they are returning home, and to trouble you with no more suit, and they do not want to trouble you with a request to marry you, unless you may be won by some other sort than your father's imposition, depending on the cascades. If you will be won by some other way, just apart from the condition which has been imposed by your father. Why did these suitors, they go back? Why they were going back to their home? They were going back to their home because they were not ready to accept the three conditions, the three oaths which they had to take before choosing the cascade. The three oaths were that they are not going to reveal to anyone outside it which cascade did they choose. Then if they choose the wrong cascade, they will just move away without saying anything. And the third oath was that they will not woo any lady for the purpose of marriage. This third oath, because of this third oath, all the suitors, they were going back. Portia says, if I live to be old as Sibylla, she was a prophetess in the Roman mythology, and God Apollo had granted her many years of life. God Apollo said that you just hold sand grains in your hand, and the number of sand grains which will be there in your hand, you will have such a long life. So she was known as a traditional old woman. So she is saying that if I get a life as long as Sibylla, I will die as chaste as Dinah. Dinah is a goddess of virginity, so I am going to die as a virgin like goddess Dinah. Unless I be obtained by the manner of my father's will, unless somebody obtains me, fulfills my father's will and obtains me. I am glad this parcel of wooers are so reasonable. I am very happy that these crowd of suitors, they are so sensible, for there is not one among them but I dote on his very absence, because among these suitors there is not a single person on whose absence I will be sad. I pray God grant them a fair departure. I pray to God that they get a fair departure. Nerissa, do you not remember, lady, in your father's time, a Venetian, a scholar and a soldier that came hither in the company of the Marquis of Montefat? Marquis of Montefat is a title which is given to an Italian nobleman. So, she is saying, lady, do you remember when your father was alive, a person from Venetian? Venetian means a person who is from Venice. So, a Venetian had come who was a scholar, a soldier, and he came here in the company of the Marquis of Montefat. Portia says, yes, it was Bassanio, as I think. So was he called? Yes, I know his name was Bassanio. Nerissa, true madam, he of all the men that ever my foolish eyes looked upon was the best deserving of fair lady. Among all these men that my wise eyes have looked upon, lady, I think that he is the best person who deserves you. And Portia, in the beginning, in the previous line, Portia is saying that yes, I think was called Bassanio. So here Portia is pretending to have forgotten his name because she wants to show that she is not at all interested in him. Portia says, I remember him well, I remember him worthy of that praise, that I remember him well, that he deserves this praise. So while they were talking, a servant enters. She asked that how now, what news have you brought? Servant says, the 4 strangers. Now here there is earlier 6 strangers have been mentioned, but now here the Shakespeare, he has just mentioned 4 strangers. So maybe Shakespeare must have forgotten that actually he had mentioned 6 suitors, so this is just a mistake here. So servant says that the 4 strangers seek for you, madam, that the 4 strangers, they are just waiting for your permission, madam, to take their leave, because they want to leave. And there is a forerunner means a messenger coming from the 5th. So now since here Shakespeare has written 4 strangers, so now Morocco will be the 5th, but actually according to the number of suitors which Shakespeare has presented here, 6 have already been mentioned, so now Morocco will be 7th. So there is a messenger from the Prince of Morocco who brings word the Prince's master will be here tonight, who has brought the message that Prince's master will be here tonight. Portia again, she becomes very sad. She says, if I could bid the 5th welcome with so good heart, that I wish I could have just welcomed the new person with a good heart, with a happy heart, as I can bid the other 4 farewell, as I am bidding the others farewell. I shall be glad of his approach. I would have been happy of his approach if he have the condition of a saint and the complexion of a devil. Even if he has the appearance of a devil, but he has a nature of a saint, I had rather he would shrive me than wive me. I would have happy if he would have come here to hear my sins and grant me forgiveness like a holy man. Come, Nerissa, let's go. Sirrah, she is saying to the servant that you go before. While we shut the gate upon one wooer, another knocks at the door. That while we are bidding farewell to one set of suitors, another is knocking at the door. Another suitor, he wants to come to us. So now Portia is again sad because a new suitor is coming, but still she has to welcome that person. So she is ready to welcome the next suitor, the Prince of Morocco. So with this we end the explanation of the Act 1 Scene 2, and children, very soon I will be there with the explanation of Act 1 Scene 3. So thank you, children.